Lights, camera, action.
The purpose of this video is not to advise you or recommend you on any investment opportunities. This whole purpose of this video is to help you understand how a policy has a far-reaching impact on your investment decisions. And this video is made by sticking to the sole purpose of this channel of delivering meaningful content by entertaining you and educating you at the same time. After watching a ton of YouTube videos online regarding the investment opportunities, the future prospects and probable incomes, I was fully charged up to make the first investment of my life. In December 2021, after making a lot of considerations and watching the buzz around cryptos, I've decided that my very first investment will be in cryptos. After making the very first investment and being proud of the decision I've made, I was in a trance that within 1 year of my investment, I will be the first crorepati in my family. And that trance and happiness didn't last much longer. Because within 1 week of my investment, something dramatic happened. RBI chief came up with a press release stating that they would recommend government for outright ban on the cryptos, and this very single statement by RBI has sent shockwaves in crypto space, which made Indian investors run for their money. And as a result of this statement, my investments in crypto started to tank by 50%. Having tasted the loss in my first investment, I've decided that I will not sit back and curse my fate, that it's all written and bound to happen. Instead, I will try to find the clues and trace back to the reason which made me suffer this loss. And in that process, I've realized that though there is nothing wrong with the YouTubers and their recommendations, I myself have missed out on two important lessons of investment. Lesson 1. Before making any investment, first do your own research so that you know what you're going after and learn from it when you lose. Lesson 2. Always make sure your investments are in sync with the government policies. Having such lessons learned from my loss, I started looking for the next best investment opportunity. And the buzz around EV and me being a fanboy of Elon, EV sector caught my attention and I thought of giving a shot at it. I started out by implementing the lesson number 1 by working on my own research about the future of EV in India. And in that process, I felt that something is missing. And I fortunately came across the data and information that were not adding up to the fact that EV will be the future of automobiles in India. And those facts were: Fact 1. Earlier, the targets for both ethanol mission and EV mission were set at 2030. And this made me wonder if the EV sector was so important for the government of India, why the government would prepone only the ethanol target to 2025. Fact 2. It was predicted by Stanford that oil reserves would last only for the next 50 years. If the petroleum industry is about to die, then why a Saudi Aramco company, a trillion-dollar company, would even think of making investment of billions of dollars to buy 20% of Reliance Industries, which is incorporated in an oil-dependent country, and why the deal got scrapped in 2021. Fact 3. While China making the every possible move to dominate the future of EV, how a country like India would even think of standing up to China to become a $5 trillion economy which is powered by EV. With these questions in mind, I set myself on a mission to solve this trillion-dollar puzzle, which has the potential to transform both the energy industry and automobile industry. And I also wanted to understand whether the government is declaring a biofuel war on EV technology and the party is over for Elon in India. And on that note, I welcome you to movie number 2 of this channel, Thought Factory, where we share million ideas with million you. In part 1 of this ethanol series, we would understand how India is trying to be energy independent, and in the process of doing so, how India flexing its muscles to disrupt the automobile industry. Though India is showing to the world that it's trying to catch up with the world order for going electric, but in the background, it's bracing up itself by targeting all-out ethanol war. On World Environment Day, PM Modi announced ethanol policy to achieve 20% ethanol blending by 2025. On 1st April 2022, Mr. Nitin Gadkari drove a hydrogen vehicle to Parliament sessions. Though these moves seem to be awesome in finding alternative to non-renewable energy. And this made me wonder, if EV is the future of automobile industry, then why would a government promote alternative fuels? And when I dig deeper, I found some of the issues which were internal and external to India, in regards to which ethanol will help India in finding solution to such issues. India has always been an energy-dependent country, and these oil-rich countries suck out nearly $100 billion annually from India, which is around 25% of its foreign reserves.
Though India has never been an epicenter of any geopolitical turmoil, but its economy is badly hit by every major external forces, which are beyond its control. For example, let it be US sanctioning Venezuela or Iran in the past, or the past conflicts like Arab-Israel war, Saudi-Yemen war, and the most recent conflict of Russia and Ukraine. At present, China controls more than 50% of the world lithium production. And China not stopping there. It flexing out its money muscle and making sneaky moves to reach out to developed and developing countries and making every move possible, desperately hitting the right spots to make sure it will dominate the future of energy industry. With ever increasing trend of consumption of oil and its prices, India desperately wants to become an energy independent state. With ethanol policy, India can foster the domestic production of ethanol for its energy consumption needs and cut down oil imports by 20% and save 30 crores annually, which will counterbalance the oil demand in India. This will help India to negotiate better with the world. On the other hand, China dominates the world lithium production, and if India radically shifts its gears to EV without any proper planning and cautious moves, it will definitely fall prey to dragon hunger for world dominance in energy markets. Therefore, with ethanol, India would be taking its very first step towards yet another ingenious idea which has the power to bring the world to stand still and watch. Ethanol would not only help India to leverage its position and counterbalance the ever volatile world energy markets and forces, but also helps in finding some buffer time to experiment with alternatives like hydrogen technology, while ethanol acting as a shield against the aggression of Chinese economy. Generally, we have always been of someone who is beauty with brain, and same goes for the governments around the globe. A government's beauty lies in how it's attending to public demand and its brain in understanding the economics to create the whole new world of business opportunities. In Indian context, this is where things start getting interesting. Whether you hate Modi or love Modi, and regardless of failures and success of policies introduced by Modi government, which will be discussed in the later videos of this channel, but no one can deny the fact that this government proactive in bringing heavyweight policies which has really changed the course of Indian economy. Every government in the world want to establish a stable government for a foreseeable future. To achieve such a stability, it has to consistently 1. Deliver on the promises made, 2. Win the confidence of the general public. In Indian context, in 2019, Modi government has came to power by making a promise that it will make India a 5 trillion economy. And to achieve such a target, India has to clock the growth rate of 8 to 9% on an average to become a $5 trillion economy. This would create economic opportunities which will win the confidence of both public and business. And in return, this would help the government to get re-elected. As long as the cycle continues and promises were kept, the government has the opportunity to get re-elected and form a stable government. And if any of the promises are broken, this will provide the opposition an opportunity to form a new government. Let's take a deep dive to understand the triangle love story between public, business houses and government, which has greater impact on framing of public policies. No matter who is in power, businesses pay taxes and fund government, and in return, government help businesses to find new opportunities so that the economic cycle of the country keeps on moving. To understand this deep-rooted connection between governments and businesses, let's travel back in time to unfold the events which made a war-torn country like America into an economic superpower. This is the era of great American dreamers, innovators like Vanderbilt, Rockefeller, Carnegie, JP Morgan, and Henry Ford, who dreamt of a new future for the country like never before. This is the story of men who built today's America. In 19th century, after sunset, the only source of light is lantern, which is powered by oil. Though nowadays it might seem to be romantic to go on a candlelight dinner, but in reality it is not. This sad reality of 19th century was about to be changed by a man who was relentlessly working on his idea to light this whole world with his invention of electric bulb. This vision of electric bulb was backed by a great financier called JP Morgan, who dreamt of mass production of these electric bulbs so that this invention doesn't become a luxury product and accessible only to the richer section, but also reaches the general public and masses and lights up not only the every corner of the city, but also the lives of every single person. This invention of electric bulb stood in direct competition with lantern, which is powered by oil. And this news spread like wildfire and reached the oil giants like Rockefeller, and it became obvious to them that they are losing their hegemony over lightening this world. The one invention gave nightmares to oil giants by losing their business, but destiny had something else in store and cooking up a new invention which will propel the entire oil industry to a new heights by many folds. And that invention was automobile car, which was powered by oil. And this invention of automobiles gave a ray of hope to oil giants. And this time they were smart enough to sense the threats to their empire early on. And that was from ethanol, which was being marketed as cheap substitute to oil. Even Henry Ford has launched Model T series automobile which was powered by ethanol. ethanol. On the other hand, by the end of the World War I, in USA, electric vehicles accounted for 28% of the total automobile on road. As per the book Myths, Lies and Oil Wars, oil giants saw both ethanol and electric vehicles as immediate threats to their empire, and with the help of their deep pockets, political and business connections, they started meticulously designing social engineering campaigns to eliminate the competition from ethanol and electric vehicles in two important steps. To kill ethanol, they started funding and supporting the anti-alcohol campaign in USA, which is already in full swing, and passed a bill in Congress which directed to produce ethanol with petrochemical properties, which made the production of ethanol costlier than petrol. By the end of World War I, Americans were completely dependent on railway networks and streetcars, which are powered by electric. Moreover, 28% of the automobile car were powered by electric. And to counter this growing threat, Standard Oil, which is a monopoly in oil industries, partnered with General Motors to replace electric-powered vehicles with oil-powered vehicles. By mid-1950s, as a result of such meticulous planning, oil giants were able to counter, firstly, ethanol by making its production costlier than oil. Second, replaced majority of public electric transportation system with oil-powered vehicles. Thus, 20th century was made in the name of black gold. And as a result of such meticulous planning, John D. Rockefeller has become first ever billionaire and contributed to 2% of the US GDP. Cut to present, keeping in mind what we have learned so far, let's focus on this timeline. In 2019, Aramco, a trillion-dollar company, struck a deal with Reliance Industries to invest for $15 billion for 20% share of Reliance Industries. In June 2021, Indian government has come up with ethanol policy to achieve 20% ethanol blending target. Later, in August 2021, National Automobile Scrapping Policy was introduced, which provide tax incentive for scrapping your old vehicles. In September 2021, Indian government introduces a policy making it mandatory to produce vehicles with flex engines. As a result of these cascading policies, in November 2021, the deal between Aramco and Reliance was called off. Now you may not understand the series of events of this timeline and how it is related to calling off the deal between Reliance and Aramco. But once you start taking these steps and understand the series of events, it will be hell of a ride and you will be astounded by its sheer gravity and opportunity of a lifetime just passing beneath your naked eye. Let's understand the series of events and put it simply. As per ECO website, there were 5 million vehicles which are older than 20 years, and on scrapping these vehicles under national scrapping policy, this will create a demand for new vehicles. With this newly created demand, Indian government urging and encouraging auto manufacturers to unveil innovative and fuel-efficient ethanol-powered vehicles which can deliver better mileage power. The above two policies will propel the demand for ethanol and ethanol-powered vehicles, which has the potential to open doors for a whole new world of opportunities for petroleum industry. As per experts, it was believed that one of the few industries which were drowning and about to become industries of the past is petroleum industry. But this shot of ethanol has injected enough life into petroleum industry to keep on going for a foreseeable future. And it will not be surprising if the petroleum industry consolidate itself and enter into the whole new world by completely transforming into ethanol industry. As Reliance Industries is making investments in green technology and alternative fuel with the backing provided by government policies, in this new change scenario, the valuation terms which were agreed upon back in 2019 would have also changed, and Reliance would have asked for revision in valuation terms which would have laid foundation for disagreement and led to downturn of this deal. Every government is elected to serve its public. No government is a fool to completely favor the businesses and ignoring the welfare of its public. Modi government has come to power with its iconic slogan promising Achhe Din. Achhe Din, which promises its citizens to provide employment opportunities and also doubling farmers' income. And if they don't live up to the expectations of the public by creating those Achhe Din, this red carpet and guard of honor will not be offered next time to get into power. As of Feb 2022, unemployment rate in India stood at 7.5%, which has fell from 20% when the corona was at peaks. As per McKinsey, by 2030, 90 million Indians will be ready to join urban workforce, and to create so many jobs, India has to grow at the rate of 8.5%. Currently in India, sugarcane is produced in 5.2 million hectares with total production of 416 million tons, and its employs around 6 million people. To achieve 20% target of ethanol blending, India has to produce 1200 metric tons of sugarcane, which require direct manpower of additional 18 million people. But the story doesn't end here. Let's understand the concept of employment multiplier, which calculates how many indirect jobs will be created for every one direct job created. If we apply it here, and if we take average employment multiplier for agriculture sector to be 2, the total indirect jobs that will be created will be at least 36 million. And if the policy is correctly implemented, the total 54 million jobs will be created. And this will provide a huge relief not only to the Indian government in meeting expectations of doubling farmers' income, but also to unemployed frustrated youth who in the coming years will be actively seeking jobs. To sum it up, with ethanol policy, India would truly become a self-reliant country. This policy would help India in getting a strong foothold in energy market and tame the dragon's aggression for world dominance in energy sector. With ethanol policy, India could command a strong position in geopolitics and charge against the foreign forces which are against the development of India, but also helps India in finding solution to its internal issues like energy crisis, unemployment and low farmers' income. And thus, keeping in mind what I've learned so far, for the next 5 years, I would aggressively invest in ethanol stocks and more cautiously in electric stocks.